Hey, what's up everybody? My name is Chris and today I want to talk to you about my journey on YouTube and also why I am a little bit frustrated and what about exactly. For the most part, I actually want to share a YouTube journey with you from someone who has been growing steadily, but not necessarily very fast. And I can't really say that I have experienced anything like an extreme boost or anything viral of that sort. Also, I want to share with you how much I am earning from YouTube with what I have been able to build up to this point, where I'm also going to talk about how long it actually took me to even get to that point, and also what my frustration is about that. But first I want to take you back to where I actually started YouTube and what I did to begin with. And that was actually in 2016. A couple of years before that, I already started YouTube with a different channel, which no longer exists at this point, but we built a fairly big audience. But I wanted to get back into YouTube for myself with my own channel. So I actually created a channel in 2016 around January and was kind of like idea generating about what I could be doing there. Later that year, I also went on a weekend travel trip and I actually filmed the whole experience, made a video out of that, kind of like a travel montage film, and uploaded that to the channel mid-year around August. And that's where Chris Spiegl, the YouTube channel, was actually born, and I started uploading a couple of videos here and there. However, that wasn't really that consistent. I did a couple of them, started, tried it out, wanted to do more, but it kind of faded away fairly quickly again. And I think that the main reason then was, and it still kind of is to this day, sometimes a thing that comes up for me, that feeling that it feels really strange to film yourself or everything around you when you are around people where it's not an actual film production or everybody kind of like knows why there is filming going on. And I actually had that experience a couple of times when I was at events and people didn't want to be filmed at all, or there were really these big disputes about whether or not I should be able to film or if I should include someone or make sure that someone is not in the footage and those kind of things. So that really was discouraging to me, and it made it that much harder to actually keep going with this. So I actually ended up not making many videos around that time, maybe around 5 to 10 videos on the channel. And looking at the statistics on the screen, you can actually see that from January, well, I didn't make any views. And then as I mentioned, around August, September, I actually published said video, which was this travel montage film. And you can see there weren't really that many views going on at that time. And as I mentioned, also there weren't really that many videos to begin with that people could have been watching. Now other people with similar content made tons of views and went viral. There were a lot of great cinematic content creators, travel content creators on YouTube, and they were really rocking the boat. And that inspired me to do those things as well, even purchase the gear and upgrade my workflow and those kind of things. But at the end of the day, I really was crippled by the psychological effect of what other people thought about me and how they would feel about me when I was filming them or the surroundings. So that really put a bump into my road on YouTube. Now, later, about a year after that, I actually started making more videos, and this time around I actually started making tutorial videos. I actually set myself a challenge of making 30 videos in 30 days about all kinds of different topics, and there I actually focused on either filmmaking gear or website creation. And I actually was able to not only make 30 videos in 30 days, but I actually overshot that goal a little bit. And I think I did around 50 videos in 50 days. And that was really a huge success for myself because I actually took myself seriously. And I also, first time ever, built a kind of like studio set. And I kind of drew back to this mode of actually producing knowledge, information videos, which I thought I would have more to offer on than all this travel, which I wasn't necessarily doing at the time because I also was still very much building my base, building my business that I wanted to then use to actually be able to afford more travel, because I didn't really want to be just basing my travels on free stays from hotels that I would advertise for or include in my videos or stuff like that. I kind of like had this vision of being able to pay for my own travels and then shooting the content that I would be able to shoot there, making it my own creatively and also in terms of an achievement way. Now, as I've mentioned, that was around May. Around that time, I started with this kind of like creation of more tutorial-based videos. And as you can see, that's also where the statistics started to grow. And I made a couple hundred views every single day. Now, during all of that time, I didn't really have that many subscribers. Now, if I switch over to the subscriber view, you can see that at that time, I was gaining a couple of subscribers, but as you can also see, that didn't really change until December 2019. This is where this statistic ends. And also what you can see is that I, yes, made some money in that time frame during 2016 all the way to 2019. But that was only because at that time in 2017, when I started making more videos and that 30-day challenge, at that time, YouTube actually still had not implemented this limit of having to have at least 1,000 subscribers and also at least 4,000 watch hours in the last 12 months. So I didn't need that to be monetized at that time. However, shortly after, they actually implemented this change and I lost the ability to make any money. But you can also see that from those little views that I was making, I wasn't really making that much money. And in those months and a couple thousand views maybe, I only made €1.37. Now, to make a point against the guideline that YouTube implemented to only have people monetize with 1,000 subscribers and more, as well as more than 4,000 watch hours, personally, I think it can be really, really motivating even if you just made €1 in a month or something like that. However, I also understand the business side of things from YouTube's perspective, where it just doesn't make any sense to monetize those small channels because it is so much harder to then also moderate all of those things, check if the guidelines are in check, make sure that they are advertiser friendly, those kind of things. So it made sense and you're not really losing out on that much money considering this guideline from the 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 watch hours. And as you can see, sometimes it even takes a long time to even build that base, but I always wanted to stick to it. I always wanted to make this something that I generally cared about, helping others, making videos, making content, making different things, websites and other things that I made tutorial videos about at that time, and also shared my travels because that was something that I did in 2018 mainly, where I started a daily vlog and started kind of like documenting my journey at the time around the US with Candace, as well as in Spain and then back in Germany, kind of like travel style vlogging, as well as sharing ideas. And that's also where one of the crux comes in, because at that time I felt really free to make whatever videos I wanted to make. And maybe the daily vlogging challenge was actually part of the reason why that felt so easy to me, because it gave me this kind of like, you have to make a video until tomorrow. And that way I didn't really have the ability to make them complex because I had to do one video every single day. But it also gave me a time constraint to come up with something, shoot something, and then publish it. And since then, I actually fell off that wagon because in some way, I developed a more and more complex desire for perfection, be it the audio treatment of the room, having less echo, having the perfect gear, having the perfect circumstances, having a script ready, having all the research done, and also being able to provide more value to you in those videos. And that way, it kind of like blocked me from making a lot of the videos that I actually desired to make, because I thought that this would not be something of value to you as the community out there. And that is actually one of the reasons why I mentioned in the beginning I'm frustrated, because I put those constraints on myself. Because I don't really know what all of you want to see. And this is also kind of like a call for your input in the comment section down below if you want to participate in that and also give me more of an insight why you subscribed to this channel, what you want to see more of, and so that we can have a conversation there to kind of like develop that channel further so that I can know what you want and also mix that together with videos that are really inspiring to me and that I really want to make. Now, as you can see, again, the money made from this channel wasn't really big. The views in total were 185,000 views until the end of 2019. That was really exciting, just an overall in terms of what that number meant and how many people there are. So that's really cool. But in 2020, there were actually big changes happening, and especially for this channel, and especially considering the number of subscribers. Because early 2020, in the end of February, I actually cracked the 1,000 subscriber mark, and I already had cracked the 4,000 watch hour mark a couple of months prior to that. So now my channel was actually eligible for monetization, and at that point I didn't really know what to expect, because how many views was I making, and then also how would this develop further, and also how much money per 1,000 views am I going to make, because that number is really different for all kinds of different creators, for all kinds of different types of channels. Some channels make $15 per 1,000 views, which is really a very high number. And then there are also channels that make just $2 per 1,000 views. So depending on where you are on that scale, it really makes a huge difference on how much money you can earn with your channel on a monthly basis. Now, as you can see on the screen, in the beginning of 2020, my channel was actually just making around 200 views every single day from the videos that I was producing. Once again, I started making more technical videos, in this case around the Canon EOS R and also the Atomos Ninja V recorder that I'm using for my video productions here in the studio, and those were kind of picking up steam as well. Then I had the 1,000 subscriber mark, which was pretty much exactly around the 29th of February. And around that time I had, for the first time ever, kind of like this feeling of a more or less viral video. In my case, this was a video about a book that I talked about, which is called Happy Money by Ken Honda. And Candice Wu actually interviewed him. I edited that podcast where she interviewed him, and that way I got my hands on his book and read it through, made a video about that. That laid dormant for quite some time, and for some reason in February my video was at the top for the search for his book, for his name, and that way I gained a lot of subscribers as well as views in a very short amount of time. And that was around this peak here. That's this book that I'm talking about, Happy Money, that kind of gave me this boost. And this here, the February 29, is actually the day, and kind of funny that it's a leap year. February 29th is the day where the 1,000th person subscribed to my channel, making my channel eligible for monetization. And in turn, actually on 1st or 2nd of March, I actually got activated for the monetization on my YouTube channel, which was hugely exciting, as I've mentioned before, but still very much unclear what that would mean and how that would develop. Now, as you can see from there, just looking at the view statistics, it is quite clear that it's been steadily growing ever since. And now I am actually at a point, if I go all the way through here, you can see that now I'm around 600, 700 views every day. And actually now, in the last 2 months, I actually cleared 1,000 views in one day a couple of times. Now, on other channels, it's really staggering to see statistics, especially for me. I'm inspired by Graham Stephan, for example, when he's sharing his income reports or YouTube statistic reports, which are just mind-blowing because he's making so many views, so much money from YouTube. But granted, he's also a finance channel, which means that he's earning a really, really high RPM, which means the revenue per 1,000 views, which includes non-monetized and monetized views, but it just is the number that you actually earn for 1,000 views. So that's much more graspable than the number that is the CPM, which is the cost per mile, which is what the advertiser pays. And then also YouTube gets a cut off that. So it's a kind of like vague number to understand, but the RPM that they just recently introduced in the YouTube studio is actually really, really clear. And I'm also going to take you there in a moment. But as you can see, the views developed now with around 1,000 views per day, around 900 to 1,000 views on average. That's what I'm here right now. But you can also see again, based on the stuff down here, that I already had a hole here again where I didn't make videos, coming back to this point of this psychological struggle of keeping to make videos. And that actually is something that I'm working on to change, to actually improve upon, so that I don't have those kind of holes anymore in my statistic, and so that this channel can grow more continuously. Now, going over to the earnings, as you can see at the beginning of 2020, I obviously wasn't making any money because I hadn't cleared the 1,000 subscriber mark with this channel. However, with the 1st of March, I actually made money for the first time in a long time since being open to monetization. As you can see there, I had 1 cent. I didn't really know what that would mean looking forward, but I was quickly surprised by the second day, which cleared with $1.71. And that really was exciting because it showed me that it's not just a couple of cents every day, but taking into consideration that this can compound within a month to kind of like add up every single day, that can amount to something substantial and then be able to maybe even take care of certain expenses already. Now, then from there, it kind of like developed further, quite quickly also coming in with a $3.36 day. And since then, just averaging around $2 to $3 every day. Then I had a day with $5.66. And this is one of those numbers that actually means quite a lot, because $5 times 30, you have 150 US dollars. Now, for me in the euros, it's not quite the same. However, just taking those numbers in is always really, really exciting. And also knowing kind of like roughly how much that takes care in terms of my monthly expenses is one of the most exciting things about earning money on YouTube, being able to actually offset certain things that I have to purchase every single month, either be it new equipment to improve the quality of my channel, or also part of my living expenses, maybe my phone contract or the rent and stuff like that, because this way I can actually take on less client work and focus more on the creation of these videos and make more content for you, be more helpful in that regard. And this is really exciting to me because in part, playing with the equipment is really fun, but at the same time, also getting the comments and knowing that the videos were helpful is something that is really, really intriguing. Now from there on out, you can see it kind of like just dwindled around the same numbers, always going up a little bit or having some peaks here. There you have a $6.54. And then going all the way through to now, the last month, where I had one of the highest days to date with $8.97, so almost $9, and a second day with almost $9. And that again is one of those places where it's really, really exciting to see those days where it's almost $10. Now that is a number where it ends up being a $300 month, if that were to be consistently average around that number. But a $10 average and a $300 month for me personally would mean that basically my rent is taken care of, and that would be something that is just super, super exciting. One more thing I want to mention while we are here, you can see here that we have 139,000 views over the span of this time, so since the start of the year, which is quite interesting because the same amount of views, basically the same amount of views was made in the prior 3 years. So it took me less than a year to make exactly the same amount of views that it took my channel to make in 3 years. So that is really exciting. It also means that basically I lost as much money as I have now earned this year in the prior years by not being monetized. So for me, for example, you can see that this year I made around $952 US in revenue. Based on the analytics that I had almost exactly the same amount of views in the previous 3 years, I would probably assume that this is kind of how much I left on the table by not having the 1,000 subscribers, not being monetized in those previous years. So around $1,000 US was the cost for me to not be monetized. And yeah, it kind of sucks, but at the same time, now I'm here, now I am at this point, and it is that much more fun. Now, another thing that you can see here is that I actually also got 949 subscribers within the time of 2020 up to this point, which is mid-October. That means that actually more of you subscribed this year than actually in the first 3 years. So it really shows that a certain growth rate is happening here, that it is picking up steam, and that's also really exciting. Now, I mentioned previously that I also want to talk about the RPM, which is the revenue per mile, which means how much am I earning for 1,000 views, whether they are monetized or not monetized, whether they see ads, whether they don't see ads, whether they are premium members or not. The RPM number that you can see here for my channel right now, if I go over the whole year, is $4.95. Now, this may be actually not quite accurate because of the first couple of months here that haven't been monetized at all. And as you can see, I have days where I have an RPM of 9.58. I would say around 5 is the RPM that I am earning. And that is something that you would probably expect around a tech channel that is doing tutorials, but also mixing in certain personal content, vlog style, or similar things. Now, I do know that finance channels are really high in RPM, and those are also the kind of ads that I would expect to earn those $9 of RPM that I have sometimes in a day. But overall, for my type of video, probably around $5 is what I'm gonna get. Now, if I make different videos and I have different information there, I might actually make a video about that, because that is definitely something that is intriguing to me, to test out what type of video and what type of topic is actually able to kind of like make more RPM or less in the RPM department. And then going down here, you can see the statistics per month. And what you see here is basically what I made every single month since May in this case. So it's just the last 6 months, it's not including the first months. So something to know here is that I actually did not earn enough in the first month to be paid out in the next month after that. Because usually you only get the money paid out if it is over a certain threshold. And that I did not hit in March, but then with the money earned in April, I was able to get both of those months paid out in May. So in May, I was paid out for March and April, and then from then on out, I actually was paid out every single month. Of course, always being paid out around the 20th of the next month for the money earned in the previous month. So now you can see here, we have May with 105 and then steadily growing from there. And the $191 in September really were something that kicked me back into gear to kind of like make me realize that this is actually a real thing. It is kind of hard to grasp because it is not enough to live off, of course, but it is enough to really feel substantial. And that is something that I'm also trying to realize for myself, that this is real money that is being paid out to my bank account that I get to spend. Of course, there's taxes involved and all kind of those kind of things, but at the end of the day, it's quite miraculous that this here, making these videos and basically doing all of this out of my office space right here that I built for myself, and I can just make all of those things happen, is really, really fun. And I'm looking forward to making more like this and producing more helpful content so that you can also be inspired and grow with me here. So I'm really inspired and excited, but as I've mentioned before, I had those holes in the upload schedule. For example, in September, I only published about 6 videos, but I always had this dream of publishing more than that. My main goal being that I would like to publish at least 3 videos per week in the coming weeks. And this is actually something where I want to step into a process of more of a documentation, taking off the pressure of myself to always try to be perfect with my videos and just make videos that are fun and exciting to me. And that also may include just me documenting the journey, because I have a topic that I'm also going to talk about in a following video to this one here, what I think is more valuable to bring to YouTube, or not necessarily more valuable, but actually just content that I can bring to the table compared to content that I don't feel qualified for. And that's a topic for another day. But overall, documenting my journey, I think, is something that can provide you more value, and also mixing all of that with the technical videos, the information that I can provide, and also the knowledge that I can provide based on the things that I have known or also learned through the process of what I am doing right now and here. One of those things, for example, is that I am building out a certain set here with certain features, and I'm going to talk about how I am doing that and also why I have certain pieces of gear in this set. I also will talk about different types of microphones again, because I have done that already on this channel, and I am now excited to look into more of the overhead type microphones, and I will have a video series about those coming up on this channel as well. But not just that, I also have an exciting project around a podcast that I'm launching, which will be in German. However, I'm also going to document the journey and the path around creating a local podcast, meaning it is focused on a specific language set for me that will be German, and the topic of the podcast will probably be around entrepreneurship and doing more, being active and creative, and just interviewing interesting people around that topic matter. And I have a whole series planned for podcasting and how I am setting my podcast up, and also how I have set up other people's podcasts in the past that I have worked with as an editor as well as producer for those shows, to kind of like bring you that information, how I am doing that process, but also using that opportunity to documenting that process throughout, to also see how those rankings affect certain things, how different types of covers may work, or what I'm thinking about when I am doing those kind of things and how I'm planning the process out. So I have a lot of things coming, and that really gives me an exciting outlook on how the next few weeks and months will be. Because my personal goal is that to the end of the year, I actually want to crush the 2,000 subscriber mark, which would be remarkable and maybe even more important for my personal situation right now, and the ability to make more content for this channel, spend more time on the video creation and all those kind of things. And I'm especially excited to see what kind of effect this new focus and dedication will have on the channel's revenue specifically, because the more of my income I can subsidize with YouTube or replace with YouTube earnings, the more I can focus on this with a clear mind, also bringing more quality content, taking more time for the content creations here, and overall just having more fun doing it, because it is really hard when you have to balance all too many ships at the same time. And this is what I'm really excited about, to also bring you that knowledge of how my changes may affect all of the other things and how this whole YouTube growth journey will affect my life with it. So with this relatively long-winded video about how my YouTube journey has gone through different stages and how my earnings have developed in 2020, now it's time for you to leave the comments that I asked you about previously in the comment section down below, so that I can know more about what type of videos you are interested in here, what you want to see, why you even subscribe to my channel in the first place, and of course, like this video if it was helpful for you and you want others to find it as well. That helps out a great deal with the YouTube algorithm. Subscribe to the channel if you found this video as one of the first videos that you've seen from me, and also check out more videos on my channel, because there are already a ton of them and many of them have quite a lot of views actually, and that may be helpful information for you too. Now, I'm really looking forward to see you in another video, and until then, ciao ciao.